Roland Willits, Omen Stories. The sun rises on and Clair.
You're going to have to go with the get me where you want me to begin, start, and all, because I'm really confused. How do we? Because for someone to turn this on and listen, they have to know where did this all start or come from, or what's. I mean, I feel just to jump in and talk about me, faking it until I made it as a speaker, but it's just this particular incident that was not only funny but almost miraculous and just humorous, to say the least.
It was.
Well, of course it was. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, and somehow or the other, I made a miracle happen by just letting it flow, and there I was, beyond what I thought was possible, and right here, these 22 evaluation things from the attendants of what they thought about it, the final thing is even funnier.
Where did it start?
Where did it start?
Yeah.
Well, it started because I was looking for material that I could use in Silicon Valley to enhance my presentations, but above all, have new material to give that they find is essential in the corporations in Silicon Valley. And a lot of these were with the school districts, the teachers, the principals. I did a lot with the various, almost all of the big school districts for the personnel in California. But I started out originally with the big corporations, because from my first one was Hewlett Packard, and I found out when you take something and you get to know someone, you just become a name dropper, and all of a sudden, without any effort on your part, you say, well, Hewlett Packard has me working with their training department, and I found out that works very easily in Silicon Valley at that time.
Yeah. So tell me about how you got it. The story I liked was about the Memo system. How did that start? You know, it's for the school system.
Well, it was for the school system, but I did find if you're going to be asked back to Lockheed and Hewlett Packard and all the big corporations, you had to have new material, because usually the people that like to go to seminars, and it was up to them, they were not, it was a volunteer thing if they wanted to come and listen to me be a speaker. So I had to keep coming up with new material. So that started, the one with the memos, which was so far off my path, because most of mine were on handling stress, motivation type things, balancing your life, how to make life a light comedy, not a tragedy, all that sort of stuff. And all of a sudden I said to this one particular, I even forget his name, Dr. Someone that was in charge of putting the seminars together in Hayward, I said, give me an idea what would be new and interesting. Are you running this, by the way?
Absolutely. Keep it going. You're doing wonderful.
Okay. And so anyway, I asked him, I said, give me an idea what I can develop, what presentation you feel would be beneficial for the school districts, especially this one they had a big, they call it Hayward, in university things, and they would give different programs, a lot of them geared for the teachers and the principals and superintendents of the schools. And I found that rather challenging in because I was a little bit intimidated with them. But what he said when we give promotions and things, and we want people to develop some other skills, they're terrible at writing memos. I said, oh, memos? I said, what do you mean? Well, they just don't know how to write an effective memo. And he said, can you put something together with memos? Well, I opened my mouth, said, of course, And then I realized I was a lousy secretary, because when I graduated from school, I only had training in being a secretary. I was from the coal regions, and where our vision is, what do I do for a living, you know, after I graduate? And of course, being 81 and a half now, that was many years ago. So when I graduated from school, I had an opportunity and got a scholarship because I won a state beauty contest. And I got a scholarship, and I had a choice of being a teacher or a nurse. I did not want to change bedpans, and I did not want a bunch of kids that I had to put up with, so I refused them. The scholarship I got at age 17, and the only thing I had left, yes, I took shorthand and typing, and I was a school editor. So that was my only desire, because I was trained that I didn't need to worry about what I did. All I had to do was find the prince in my life on a white horse, and he would take me off, and I would have these little princes and princesses, and I would live happily ever after. So I did not think of my particular potential and skills. Well, yes, I found the prince and a white horse, and then I had to clean up after the horse. The marriage was terrible in my early 20s. And it was I never did anything the small way. He was a graduate from an academy, and unknowingly, it was up in Long Island, and I didn't know New York City was only about 45 minutes away. He had sent our pictures when we were going together to CBS, because we had no monies to have any kind of a wedding, but we were planning once he graduated to get married. And the result was he sent our pictures to CBS. They had a bride and groom program. I had no idea about it, and he asked could we be married on their national television, which meant a couple million people were watching that in 1952. And so unbeknownst to myself, they had a surprise shower for me one night, which really surprised me. Do you want to hear this? It will lead up to it. But anyway, what I'm saying is how I got into being a speaker was that the marriage did not work, and I had to find a way to take care of myself and a young son that I had. So this marriage with the prince didn't work. And we were married before 2 million people, never do anything a small way. But I did not start this career of public speaking till I was probably in my 40s. Now you're saying, why? Well, I had a second marriage that lasted 19 years, but at age 47 I was on my own. And I found out that I had the ability to inspire, encourage people. You know, I would give little talks and to my friends and things, and I started reading self-help books. The first one I read was Psycho-Cybernetics. I never read anything stimulating before. I just was under the assumption that my prince would eventually come along and take care of me, and I realized you better start doing some brainstorming in there. And I read Psycho-Cybernetics, Dr. Maltz. When I was about 37 years old, I finally started thinking for myself and starting to see I had something to give and develop on my own. I didn't have to find a prince or anyone to take care of me if I would use this gift of knowledge and wisdom. And so anyway, I started quoting things from Dr. Maltz's book because I was a hairstylist. I was teaching hairstyling. So I was moved to, then it was Cupertino, California. And there was a class. They were looking for someone to teach hairstyling. I said, oh, I'll do it. But I found myself, when I was teaching people how to do their hair at home, and they don't have to pay a beautician if they wanted, I was finding I have to encourage them that they can do this, and I started bringing quotes from Dr. Maltz's book of you can do it as you think you are, and I started saying, and they got more excited with that 10 minutes of me charging them up than they did from the hair, and they said, Claire, and here now I'm in my 40s, and they said, you have to go ahead and teach those motivation classes. And I said, no, I have no credentials. I have no credentials. I had never gone to college. I'm 43 years old. And my dearest friend, and is still after 40 years, 45 years, I guess, she said, oh, Claire, 2 blocks up the street in Cupertino is De Anza College. All you do is read a book and take a test. You can go to college if you think you need to go to college to be a speaker. So I did that at age 43, and guess what? I got addicted to knowledge, learning. And for 6 years I went to college in Cupertino, graduated magna cum laude from the college there, and went to San Jose State, and I started realizing that I was gaining confidence by getting knowledge. Knowledge is power. And I was getting more confidence. I wasn't just a somebody, I was a special person. And I started sharing this, how I was evolving into my potential to other people. And slowly but surely, one would ask me for their club, speak here, speak there. And yes, I got addicted to public speaking then. I'm in my late 40s, and that's when it started. I found out that when I got some formal education in my 40s, that the big companies in Cupertino, Silicon Valley, they gave respect to someone that was in their 40s getting a formal education, that they might be different in what she's staying with it. 6 years, she's finishing up. So there it opened the doors to the big corporations, because all of a sudden I was not waiting for someone else to make it happen. I unknowingly was making this evolution of my potential, what I love to do, to jumpstart people's batteries. I got natural highs. I didn't need them from things, from stuff, because I had the big dream home and everything in Cupertino, and that wasn't it for happiness. What was for happiness is that I had the ability to do something and bring it from my heart through my experience and say that if I did it, you can do it. The only thing different is that I stopped thinking, I started doing. It's not positive thinking, it's positive doing. And I started using my time in a useful way. And I figured it out. Going to college for 6 years, I figured about 4,000 hours, and I divided it in those years. It took me 20 minutes a day out of the 1,440 minutes we have every day for me to get a college education. And I give many lectures now on the power of 20 minutes a day for you to change your life and make things happen. Yeah, 20 minutes a day it took me, big deal, over 6 years. You're gonna live 6 years longer anyway. And I got a formal education. I saw the power of using your time and quit wasting it. And as I started getting in with the big corporations, a bright time, yes, I know, it's a right time. I was in Silicon Valley, and they were hiring people like myself, help that I had now a formal education. They would open the doors, and there weren't many women doing it. As a matter of fact, when I tried to get help from another woman speaker, I didn't even get the time of day. Isn't it sad that women don't help one another? They think we're competition with them. And all we would do if we would get together like men do, they join organizations and they help one another. They're not feeling they're competing, they're helping one another go forward. But women thought, oh, I'm not going to have competition around, so I remember then I got into the school districts. And how did I get there? Because once you get before people and you prove yourself and do your homework, you find that you get referrals. Well, I was out of, now we'll get back to the original story. How did I get this wonderful story of finding that fake it till you make it? Because I really got myself in a bind when I asked this gentleman in Hayward University, give me an idea what I can do. He said, memos, and I realized, memos? I said, oh, good. See, we get caught up in ourselves when we're progressing on your own. You think you could do anything. So I said, oh, I'll get the knowledge and I'll give a seminar on that. He said, well, we have just mostly teachers and a few principals and things. They're the ones that we really feel needed. Got a little intimidated with the people involved. But so what I did, I said, okay, I'll go to the library, I'll get books on memos, and I couldn't really find anything that I felt I could put together. And here he called me, Claire, I have you scheduled. I said, wow, he has me scheduled, and I'm not too sure if I can do this. Okay, kid, it's too late now. So what I did, I went and then I really believe when you're ready, you'll find a teacher. I have found that more and more. At 81, I find when I let go and I call it my soul, pay attention to it and need something just by meditating. And I used to think that was a waste of time. Now it is part of my schedule to let go and get rid of the stinking thinking and let's see what comes up. And all of a sudden I was meditating and I said, by golly, yeah, here I open up the De Anza College thing and memo course. It's like when you have a need or desire or a wish, all of a sudden you're going to find it's going to come before you if you let it go and quit worrying, how can I make it happen? I went to the memo thing at De Anza College, paid $55. I saw about 15 people there. I said, God, look all the money she's making. I better learn how to do memos and teach a class like this. See, I'm always, when you're self-employed, how can I get a little more money here or there? So anyway, I took the class, and you know what? I really didn't gain much, but boy, she had a big stack of handouts. And then I'm getting scared. I said, wait a minute, do I have enough to make this 3 hours of this presentation happen next week? Well, I said, it's tough, Claire. It's scheduled. You better have that much done. So, once more, did a little bit more meditation, but I still didn't have an answer. And so my very significant other in my life, he was a physicist, engineer, scientist. He's a very brainy man. He said, honey, I think you cut off more than you can chew. Do you have enough to pass this on to these intellectual people in the school district? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't get as much as I thought I should have. And then I find when you do let go, just let go. I'm great for letting go, letting God. Whoever it is or whatever it is, I just have found, quit getting tied up that you have to know all the answers. And I said, well, the worst thing that happens as I'm driving the 40 miles up to Hayward from San Jose, I get up to the area and I said, well, Claire, the worst thing that happens, if you're really goofing up, why don't you faint or something and tell them you're physically ill and you can then leave it and have a good excuse to get out of this mess but there again, because I was focusing on it, that night before I went up to the presentation, it was about 4 in the morning because I was concerned, how do I put this together? And so what happened, I woke up and I said, wait a minute, I have an excellent idea for one part of it. One of the 3 hours, it was something new and unique that I had never done before. And I said, okay, now I had some relief because one of the 3 hours is exciting. See, now as a speaker, you keep learning as you evolve in your skill. New ideas and new techniques. So I go up into the program, and sure enough, where was this very sophisticated crowd in Hayward? And I said, well, here's the first hour. And I am not exaggerating, I just let it flow. And I just said, how many of you in this audience have had issues with writing memos that you felt were effective or getting what you needed from the memo? And how many of you had some problems with them? Oh, I saw maybe out of the 22, about 10 hands go up. Okay, I pointed to one. Would you share with us what problem you had and how you solved it? See, this was wonderful. And then, hey, I saw the time passing by as I gave everyone an opportunity. And people love that in an audience, that they can take the floor. Was I glad they could, because I didn't have the answers. And I made sure that I jotted down in my little notebook what the problem was and how they were solving it. It went over so smoothly. The first hour I said, whew, 1 hour, 2 to go. I had a little break. And then the next one, there was one thing for that $55 I paid at the end to take that other course, and there was a couple pages there, and they were about the process of writing a memo. I said, well, this is good material. So I made sure I borrowed that material and had it copied to hand out to my students that day, not students, but professionals. And I said, now what I would like you to do for this hour, I would like you to go and read the material on page whatever it was, and see what are the ingredients of writing an effective memo so that you get your point across and you receive, as I said, the necessary answers that you wanted to achieve with the memo. So I had them take the time to read that, and now, remember, I have not participated too much in this seminar so far. Now what I would like you to do, I would like you to write a memo and have a particular point that you would like to come across in this memo and explain to this individual or describe it, whatever. And I would like you to write a memo and take about 20 minutes. I knew I had about another 20. And then I would like you to see what that other individual felt he heard or understood from the memo you gave him. So get your partner next to you and let's do that program. Well, you know, I was having a ball. I saw those people, they couldn't care less if I was there or I left for the restroom or went to dinner or whatever. They were really involved with one another. I find in programs people love to be part of it, just like the first ones. Hey, they love what is their problem, and they had the solution in the first hour. The second hour, it did go by, and that was the second hour. Well, by then, I said, I think I'm going to make it through here, because I had a whopper that I had a dream or a vision or an intuition at 4 in the morning. And for the last hour, they came back, and I had bought stationery, a box of stationery, and a box of very nice envelopes and very fancy stationery. And to these individuals, I said, now, for the last hour of this program, I want you to go ahead, and I want you to do not a memo to anyone, but a memo to yourself. I call it a love letter to yourself. I want you to take this piece of paper I'm handing you, please, and the envelope, okay? And I want you to write a love letter to yourself where you want to be. I think I said 6 months from now, where you want to be in your life in 6 months, because in all my programs prior to this, I gave them a balancing your life thing, mental, physical, family, social, financial, spiritual, and I always found that was a marvelous thing for people to start looking at their life and finding where they're out of balance or what they need to correct. So I said, I handed that out. Look at where you are in these different areas of your life and take each one and find what you perhaps would like to do and be and achieve or eliminate or add within the next 6 months. And I want you to write a letter to yourself. And what I want you to do up at the top, I want you to put the date 6 months from now. And on the envelope, I want you to put your name and address. Because in 6 months, I'm going to take that letter you wrote to yourself, and I'm going to send it to you. And I want you to see what you've been doing in these 6 months to manifest that dream of yours, of some area of your life. So I saw the people, I said, look at it. What do you want to do? I gave them examples. It might be in the physical. Isn't that wonderful? I lost 15 pounds in the last 6 months. I feel so much better and I'm eating healthier. Maybe in the family, I'm taking more time to listen to my loved ones or pay attention or do things with the family. Maybe in the financial, I'm taking courses and classes, whatever. Think of something you can do. In the spiritual, I'm finding more time to meditate and take care of the spiritual part of my life and let go and let God and not worrying about that I have to plan it all, etc., etc. So take each area and write it down. Congratulations, aren't you so proud of yourself, Claire? You read 3 books on that, the material that you wanted to learn and etc. And just make it exciting and sign it, love in yourself. So I saw them ignore me again, thank heavens, and their fingers were going, and here I saw these superintendents. I said, wow, the men even like, and they were writing on this stationery I gave them. I made sure I gave them 2 pages, and I said, it's working, and I'm almost through with the 3rd hour. And I saw that I was so high and excited. I discovered a new thing because I had to find a solution to this problem I had of what do I do with this. And then I said, I want you now, sign it. I want you to fold it. I will not look at or see it. Put it in that envelope, seal that envelope, put your address on the envelope, and you will receive this and see what part of your dream you manifest. And by then, the hour was up, and I couldn't believe they were excited, and I did practically nothing. I mean, I was faking it, but I provided myself with the right source for my answers, of how I would achieve it. And then I left, and I was so high because I knew that with knowing nothing, I somehow, some way, had to open up and receive and had the right answer. And then, about 3 days later, I got this stack of material right here in my hand from Hayward University and the Dr. Crefton. And here it was. These are the evaluations they gave for that program, which I didn't do. I thought anything with, and it's always in the past because when you work for corporations, they give evaluations so that I can get paid for this. And every one of them is excellent, wonderful, marvelous. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. All 21 are 10. I have one, the 22nd one, she just gave me, she gave me an 8 and a 7. Well, you win some and you lose some. And I found this was a miracle where we have to believe in ourselves and with determination that if you have a need, let go and it will happen. I believe in miracles. And that's my story.
All Men's Stories, one more day listening to a professional speaker.